afflicted with drought or something bad, they would try to reduce the money, okay, to not overburden the buyer. Okay. Let's look at the next section. The next section addresses what is permissible for us to keep in regards to fruit if you are a farmer. Okay. Ibn Muhammad would sell produce from his orchard and keep some of it aside. So this is lawful. Say you are a farmer and you sell grapes or you sell apples or whatnot. There's nothing wrong with keeping some of it aside for yourself. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, you can keep up to a third. The ruling is if you are a farmer and you sell fruit or vegetables or whatnot, you can keep up to a third for yourself, but no more than that. So say I grow a bunch of corn. I can set aside a third of that corn and keep it for myself, and then the rest sell it or whatnot. The Prophet ﷺ forbade selling fresh dates for dry dates, and he also forbade selling grapes for raisins. So this is something that we are forbidden from doing. You cannot sell dry grapes, fresh dates for dry dates, and you cannot sell grapes for raisins. This is forbidden in Islam, guys. Okay? Let's see what else we have here. Let's look at the next thing here. There's also no harm in buying dates from a specific tree or a specific orchard, or buying milk from a specific cow or a specific sheep. Okay? Say, for example, and again, this may not make sense to many of you because you guys are not farmers. You live in America, you or Canada, and you live the life of Riley. But for people who are farmers, this may make sense to them. Okay? If it doesn't make sense to you, then don't worry your brains about it, because it's something that you ain't going to have to deal with. Okay? But say, for example, I live out, I'm a farmer. I get my milk from a cow named Bessie. I like to get my milk from that cow because Bessie's milk seems to be sweeter than the other cow's milk. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with specifying what cow you want to buy your milk from. There's nothing wrong with specifying what tree you want to buy your dates from. This is all lawful in Islam. Okay? Let's see. Let's skip down here. Okay, let's get to the money part. Let's get past the fruit and let's skip down here to the money part. That you cannot sell gold for silver or silver for gold, guys. The reason being is because they're not the same value. I cannot tell you that I'll sell you my gold if you sell me your silver. They don't equal the same. Okay, so this is forbidden. This is usury. Also, a dollar must be for a dollar. You cannot say that I'll sell you a dollar for a quarter. A quarter doesn't equal a dollar. Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? You cannot say if you give me a quarter, I'll give you a dollar. Because a quarter and a dollar are not the same. You cannot say you give me some gold, I'll give you some silver. Because they're not the same in value. Okay? The Prophet said, do not sell gold for gold except like for like. In other words, if you're going to sell gold for gold, it must be the same type of gold. It cannot be, for example, I'm going to sell you 24 karat gold for 18 karat gold. They're not the same. Everything must be equal. Okay? Otherwise, this is usury. Okay? Do not sell $1 for $2. You can't say, I'm going to sell you $1 for $2. Can't do that. Because $2 and $1 are not the same. They're not equal. They're not equal. So this is something that we're going to have to avoid doing as Muslims, and many of you may find yourself doing. Okay, what is the exception about gold and silver? Here's the hadith. There is no harm in buying gold with silver or silver with gold without measuring if it is unminted or on a piece of jewelry that has been made. So in this case, we can do it. Say, for example, I see a silver necklace. I want to buy it with gold. This is fine because this is unminted or it's on a piece of jewelry. So there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Let's look at the next section. We have a hadith here that one of the companions asked to exchange 100 dinars. So another person called him over and they made a mutual agreement that he would make an exchange for me. So he took the gold and turned it about in his hand and said, I can't do it until my treasurer brings the money to me. Umar was listening, and he said, by Allah, do not leave him until you have taken it from him. He said, the Prophet ﷺ said, gold for silver is usury unless it's hand to hand. And wheat for wheat is usury unless it's hand to hand. Dates for dates is usury unless it's hand to hand. What this means is when it comes to selling money or selling anything, guys, it must be hand to hand, which means you can see it. You don't allow the person to take it home, because when they take it home, they can exchange it for something else and then come back and give you a fake or fraud. So again, whenever you're buying, it must exchange hands right there where you can see. You don't let the person take it home and then say, okay, now I'll bring it back to you, because he can take your gold and mix it with a fake and give you a fake. Okay? The bottom line. So it must be hand to hand. Okay, let's look at the next section. The next section addresses buying on delayed terms and reselling for less or more. Now, in other words, buying on credit or whatnot. A lot of Muslims come and ask about, can they buy on credit? Okay? Or buying on delayed terms. Let's look at the first hadith here. The Prophet ﷺ said, someone who buys food must not resell it until he takes delivery of all of it. Okay? Somebody who buys food must not sell it until he takes possession of it. What does that mean? Say, for example, I order some steaks from a steakhouse. I cannot sell that meat until I get possession of it, because otherwise I'm selling when I don't even have a guarantee that it's mine. Okay? So when it comes to buying food, you cannot sell it until it becomes in your possession. Okay? I cannot tell you I'm going to sell you a dozen apples, and I don't even have the apples yet. Okay? Do not sell food which you have purchased until you take delivery of it. So again, don't sell any food that you have purchased until it's in your possession. Let's look at the next section. The next section addresses what is disapproved of in selling food with delayed payment.